maybe 100. There's a lot of them, but they're not collectively bargaining for the representation to bring the whole forward. The whole of college athletics is being decided upon by groups of lawmakers and lobbyists and whoever who either A, want to suppress their rights as participants in the marketplace, or B, do not want to suppress their rights as participants in the marketplace. However, none of this has a clear leader, a clear ideology. And so you're allowing lawmakers to say, well, here's what I see, here's what I think should be done. And neither of them are taking into account what the athletes are, who the athletes are, the participants in this space. It's taking into account what the colleges want, or what the biggest brands want, or what the networks might want. The fact that this has stalled is due in large part because the athletes haven't collectively bargained for their representation. Again, my perspective, done this enough in sports, read enough, I've studied enough to know that that's how you create leverage from a federal and a state-by-state perspective. We talked about Oregon State women's basketball team building a union. That's your first step in doing all of this. Your first step is gathering as a unit of athletes, as a unit of what should be perceived as employees, which are not. When I was doing it more than baseball, I had minor leaguers who had no leverage and no voice, guys making about $3,000 a year, while the game printed money. The organizations that they worked for were making record profits. But the athletes that they were bringing up or using as assets were not being paid subject to fair labor standards rules because Major League Baseball at the time, and still is, it was exempt from that. But we didn't wait for a 200-page bill to save anybody. Change came when players got organized enough to be taken seriously. Organized talent gets legislated. Let me say this again. Unorganized talent gets legislated around. Organized talent writes the legislation themselves. College athletes doing nothing is not an option anymore. Unorganized talent gets legislated around. Organized talent writes the legislation. This is no different than the fight that we had in minor league baseball 5 years ago. There was a pool of athletes that were not being treated fairly, and laws were being built around them without their approval, without their express written consent, without their ability to collectively bargain on what is best for them as the source of the revenue and the source pool of the talent. We understood that unorganized talent gets legislated around the Save America's Pastime Act. Organized talent writes the legislation. Instead of yelling about building a union, we built an organization. We were popular enough as an organization that players trusted us. We used that trust to turn this body of athletes that we had access to into what became the Minor League Baseball Players Association, the largest body of unionized professional athletes in the country. 1,000 plus is what we were able to unionize because we gained their trust and we knew that with numbers, we had leverage. What did we do with those numbers? We had leverage. Do I agree with everything that happened after the union was formed? No, I don't. However, having a union and having these athletes represented by the Major League Baseball Players Association is the best thing that has ever happened to minor league baseball players because now 10th through 20th round makes $150 flat, I think, in a signing bonus. There's some issues with the player pools from the 1st through 10th round, and players are making $40,000 a year. There's less rounds, yes, and less players, yes. Is the talent better? Are they being promoted quicker? Are their assets improving faster? Is it too expensive for them to facilitate? I don't know. Padres just sold for $4 billion. These teams are ever increasing in value. There's money to go around to ensure that these assets improve in the thing that they are doing and to be used as assets as you would in a normal business to trade away for parts, trade away to create dynasties, trade away to create windows of championships, which brings in money. And that is why $40,000 of an investment into this guy, and you can trade him away and you can create a window to make the playoffs because you got some guy for that. College athletes, unorganized talent gets legislated around. That is what is currently happening. Organized talent writes the legislation. College athletes out there, hope this gets to you. Build an audience that trusts you. Build a community where you can trust each other. Current and former college athletes at that level, building something that supports the well-being and the labor rights of each of you. It's better to have that representation while politicians get chirped at here, bribed not bribed, I can't say bribed, influenced here. I know we can get into these diatribes, but the fact that things are being built around college athletes and that there's no specific representation for those college athletes is the whole crux of the problem that we have had for the last 25 years and longer, forever. Where is the legal representation for these? Where is this? Where is it? Why is there still no national federal body protecting the rights of college athletes? And if I'm missing it, come on the show and tell me, and let's have this conversation. I don't see it happening. See bills being pushed that are going to change, like dramatically change things without the representation of who it's going to be either in the hearings or having the conversations or setting the rules. And I don't see people representing those athletes to do those things. Minor League Baseball, people were making rules on our behalf, and I was pissed. That's why More Than Baseball started, because I was sick and tired of having people having conversations about us without us in the room. College athletes are not doing that from where I sit, where I see things, from what I read, conversations I have. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to say what I think and be proved wrong. I am happy to change my opinion if the facts present themselves in ways that I'm not currently seeing or reading or hearing or learning about. From everything I've seen and from everything in my experience, college athletes are subject to the things happening around them, the things happening to them, because they are unorganized. Organized talent writes the legislation like we were able to do in minor league baseball. Unorganized talent gets legislated around. And if you're a lawyer working on whatever you can in college athletics, I would love to hear your story so that we can have this conversation here. If you're a politician and you are having conversations about college athletes with athletes in the room, I would love to hear it. But if you're having conversations without college athletes in the room or without a representative body of the people who are making the money for all of these organizations, let's have a conversation about why you're not talking to college athletes, why you're not listening to primary sources on the topic. And in the comments, you might say, well, Jeremy, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. There's so much happening every single day in all of these things that I'm doing my best to get to everything. I'm doing my best to share my perspective with you. My job is to make sure that you as an athlete understand your rights and your power as an athlete. My job is to make sure that founders building in sports understand the leverage and the power that athletes have. My job is to be a former professional athlete bringing these conversations up. My job is to be someone who has built a union and been taken seriously in something that was deemed to be impossible. And we built the union because of timing and luck and grit and determination and support and resources and funding and money, because we're saying and doing the right things. So I know what I'm talking about. But if there's things I don't know that can change the conversation, tell me, so that we can have this conversation. This conversation is happening in real time. I can only see what I have in front of me. And I do my research, and I write every day, and I study every day, and I'm bringing you as up-to-date facts as I possibly can. And if you in the comments see this and you go, wow, what about this and this? Leave a source, leave a comment. Let's bring somebody on the show that can talk about it, because this is a space to be a resource for you as an athlete to understand your rights, as somebody who's building to understand your leverage, politicians to learn that maybe what they're doing isn't good enough. I need commercial breaks. I can't just read through commercials anymore. This is what I write. Sorry, I clicked on this button. But what I write, I'll walk through what I do right now. This is built every single day built like a algorithm inside of like I can be honest, like a Claude task. And I go through all of the things I can. Sports Business Journal, Twitter, every single morning I do this. And then I use my, like a recorder. I basically use this mic and I say, here are all the things I want to talk about today. Here's the most important. Here are all the sources. Here are the links. And then it generates this word blob into like bullet points in a script. And so that's where I read these bullet points. Then I'm, with my knowledge on a topic or my understanding of a thing, that's where I'm able to ad lib and do these things. And so when you ever see like a teleprompter, it's because I frame the conversation in bullet points and notes, so I don't have to look at like a notebook or anything. I'm able to look at it and read it, and then on my like desktop here, that's why I'm able to like click through these different things. And so like, what do I want to talk about today? Well, I read into the thing. Bezos buys Liverpool, Angel Reese gets her shoe, NFL standoff. Here's what I read. Here's what's most valuable from this. Like I copy and paste and I write notes, and then I link the sources, and then the Claude system reads everything, reads all of the sources, and says, based on your notes, here are the bullet points for each of the topics. And also let me write the bottom here. Let me write this. So you might say like, Jeremy, are you reading everything every day? And doing as a one-person shop, I'm trying to be as up-to-date as I possibly can.